Hi, welcome back to Supercharged Fridays. We are at 203 weeks of live streaming every Friday, open office hours. It's going to be 4 years. And if we haven't met before and it is your first time, a very warm welcome. My name is Sonal Behel. I am a former HR director and a career coach, career consultant. And what I essentially do is help people who are going through a transition in their career. Sometimes it's by choice, sometimes it is involuntary, and through very specific strategies and tactics help people go from point A to point B. And how do I do this? I do this through my services, and do this through content. My services include group coaching, one-on-one coaching, digital courses online like how to make a resume, which is coming out, version 2.0, 3.0 is coming out next week, and I am arranging a masterclass for that to introduce it and also share lots of value whether you want the course or not. So if you haven't signed up, make sure you sign up. It's on 15th of December. It's going to be right below on my screen. Go to superchargeyourself.com/resume masterclass. So these are the paid services. I also do this through content, like I mentioned. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, definitely do that. Just go to YouTube and write my name, and I share my favorite tips and strategies on YouTube for free. Also been doing that for 5 years now, and it is one of my favorite things to do, as well as a podcast called How I Got Hired, where I interview amazing, down to earth, very successful people from around the world. So, the last thing which I do, which is one of my favorite things, is show up here, which I have been doing for every Friday without fail, come rain or shine, sickness, health, whatever. It's my belief in what goes around comes around, and big believer in karma. So this is the time to help folks, whether or not they can afford to work with me. Don't know, don't care. And I don't like to hold back. If I have something to share, if I have some perspectives, I'm not going to say, this is what I think. If you want to know more, and I will save the best for the paid. I don't want to do that. See what you like. If you want to work together, I would love to work together. Definitely reach out. If you don't want to work together, that's absolutely fine as well. All right, all right. Enough chit chat, okay? Stop talking, Sonal. We have a lot to talk about today. I can see 2 questions already in the chat. I'm going to be making sure I address them. Good morning, Tomas. I don't know if I'm saying your name correctly. If there is a Latin influence, Tomas Guardia. Otherwise, I will stick to Thomas, as you prefer. And I have a question that I have received on Instagram, actually, a DM in my Instagram from a lady who shall remain anonymous. And I'll be addressing that one first because she asked me first. All right, fab. Let's get into it. We have so much to talk about. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I hope you've had a good week. Wherever you're watching me, give me a quick little boost, okay? Just give me a like so it helps reach more people. The algorithm is, have you noticed the algorithm is becoming very stingy with reach? It's becoming a pay to play model everywhere, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook's been dead for me for a long time. So let's go. We have so much to talk about, and I'm gonna say a quick hello and gratitude if you're joining me live. Nothing like being here on live. Good evening, Arun. Thank you for tuning in. Risto in beautiful Finland as well. Satyakala. Durg. Okay, probably have a typo in your name. I doubt your name is Durgvish. Okay? I doubt that's your name. But thank you for being here. So let's go. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the very first question. Let's start with the harder stuff first. So this is a very hard question. It probably is the hardest question I have received. And I do want to say that I'm in no way an expert to talk about this. Okay. So if you're listening to me and you're not watching the screen, maybe you're driving, for example, first of all, be careful. Safety first, and cheers. For purposes of, let me kind of just make sure that I read out the question. So this is a lady. Let's call her, I'm blanking out. I'm totally blanking out. Let's call her Susan. Okay, let's call her Susan. Okay. So I've shortened her question. It was a very long paragraph. She says, I have been stalked on social media for a while, And I also happen to be going through a traumatic divorce. I could not share my job details on LinkedIn for fear that that guy would actually reach the office. And I haven't had the space to write it, but basically what she said was, it's happened before. And she's fearful that it could happen again. Uh, and she wants to know, how do I take advantage of LinkedIn for my job search right now, if I'm going through this right now, right? Because the profile is also not, you're blocking a lot of people. And then if you write, you've started at a new company and you put it in your experience section, that guy might possibly find out, right? So this is not an easy one. And a quick question. What did I say? Susan. Susan, if you're watching me live, okay. I cannot say I know what you're going through because I don't. And I also want to say, I hope I never know what you're going through. And I hope that no person watching now ever knows what you're going through, because it sounds extremely difficult, challenging, very unpleasant, very traumatic, right? Susan, the first thing I want to ask you is, the person who is are we talking about the same person? The stalker, is he also your ex-husband? Could you help clarify? I don't know if it really matters, but it may lend a bit more color to what we're talking about. And by the way, if you're watching this and you have empathy, please feel free to share if you have ideas on how she can approach LinkedIn, particularly if you're someone who's used LinkedIn for some years and understand a little bit of nuts and bolts. It's not like I'm the guru and everybody listens. So feel free to share your ideas. They are extremely welcome. And we need to crowdsource and put these together to help Susan, who I think really can use all the help that she can get. Okay. So, Susan, while hopefully you're watching, and hopefully I will wait for you to respond. Good morning, Kevin. Thank you for being here. Kevin, you're one of the guys I tagged because Kevin is Mr. LinkedIn. Okay. Like, he has been on Supercharged Fridays 4 or 5 times, and we have talked about so many features of LinkedIn, particularly for job search. If you go to my YouTube channel and just write Sonal Behel and write Kevin D. Turner, you're going to come across lots of them. So Kevin will have lots and lots of tips for you to share and to help you. In the meantime, Kevin, hopefully you have the backstory, and I'm happy to hear from you. So first, I want to say, Sunira, that we want to start off with physical safety, right? Whatever you do, you want to make sure that you are marked safe, physically safe, whether that means reporting to the police and everything, right? And I'm sure you've done that. I think you understand these basics very well. You also wrote in your message to me that you know how report and block works, because I know, Kevin, you say that you report and block people on a regular basis who are abusing the platform, and exactly these kind of characters. So before you get into it, right, you want to make sure that the relevant members of the police force in your country are aware that this is ongoing and it is affecting your physical safety. Okay, because we can't talk about emotional safety, psychological safety if you're not safe physically, right? And for example, if you have in your country, I know you're not in the US, but Thomas says that, if you have you can have an option of a restraining order, like, X number of feet. I've seen this on TV, Thomas. I think you know what you're talking about. That you cannot be close to me, X number of feet, right? Stalker is a controller. It may help to obtain support from these types of abusers to receive emotional support. Want to make sure I follow that. You can document the event of the stalker and extend the restraining order. Man, the stalker is a controller. All right. And I had another idea for LinkedIn, but I'm going to wait and I'm going to see what other people say as well. So Thomas, thank you for sharing that. One thing that Kevin says is to understand where is your network intersecting and set up an active blocking strategy. All right. Kevin, could you explain what that means when you say that? Active blocking strategy, which means, okay, I understand. So Susan, you'll have certain people in common with him, right? And you might be first degree connections because his friends are also your contacts. Whether it's on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram, you want to make sure that you block them all. What if they set up a new account? You can't control that. I would say focus on the controllables and control the controllables. That's pretty much what you can do. And I know you wrote that you can't come from fear. What if you have to ultimately live? I totally get that. But it's also the day-to-day reality of yours is not a fun place to be, right? So you still wanna, focus on doing whatever you can. Another step I have for you, Anaga, it's amazing you mentioned it because this was what I was going to come to next. You can restrict your profile, and there are pluses and minuses. So, when we say restrict your profile, you can ensure that your profile is only visible to first degree connections. Okay. Anyone who's not a first degree connection will not see your face, will not see your name, and the profile picture will not see any of that. That is a possibility. Anaka, the problem with that strategy is that if there are potential recruiters who are looking for her, right? Kevin, feel free to jump in. If you are only visible to first degree connections, then if a recruiter who is a second or third degree connection is interested in you and you come up in search results, if you are on a limited profile, you will not even come up in the search results. So that is a big, big drawback of that strategy. Unless I am wrong, but Kevin, feel free to let me know if that works. Often it's others that tell the stalker what's going on. Aha, they have a support network. They have a support network. You want to kill that support network at the source. Because what is the stalker without that support network? What a horrible thing. Ugh. I thought stalkers tend to be lone wolves, right? That's what we see in like on TV. I mean, obviously I know TV is not reality. But if stalkers have support, yes, it's possible that the support network doesn't know this person is a stalker. That's even worse because that is really dangerous when people say one thing and they do something else because you don't know at face value. Because I guess stalkers don't look like stalkers. They probably look like friendly people, psychopaths, right? Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna ensure that we continue to talk about this, and I have another idea. And Thomas has another idea that you can talk to HR. Yeah, enter the site. Right. That makes sense, Thomas, once she's in the company. But while she's interviewing and things like that, you don't want to scare the company off. Like, I'm hiring her and I'm hiring all her baggage. Might be too soon to sort of share that. That's personally a perspective of mine. Okay. Recruiters can see past that limit. Meaning, if you are on a first degree, if your profile is set to limited to only first degree connection, does this mean that a recruiter can see it? If that is so, Susan, that's really good news. Okay, that's really good news for you. Okay, I got a giant bubble thumbs up. So I'm guessing that's what it means. Interesting. So LinkedIn user, hi, feel free to identify yourself because I don't see your name here. You probably have to go into your settings and change your privacy settings so that when you're on a third, because I'm currently on StreamYard and StreamYard doesn't recognize your name. So you have to sort of change that. I actually have a client who had an abusive ex, and this happened before. But has this happened before with another stalker, or is it the same one? It's a good question. Susan, is it the same stalker? Because you said it's happened before, or is it the same? Is it the same guy? Are we talking about, or is it another guy? Because if it's another guy, I mean, this is really rotten luck. Okay, Kevin completely agrees. So forget what I said about drawback, because if your profile is set to only show it to first degree connections, Susan, you're in a good place to be because it doesn't affect your chances with recruiters. Anika, you are absolutely right. And you can show it visible to recruiters, which we do anyway. But if your profile is set to limit, understood. Perfect. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Forget what I said about drawback. Perfect. And you can't control everything else, right? But ensure that, so what did we say? Quick summary, right? We said ensure that people you have in common are blocked as well, reported and blocked, finished. You don't even have to explain. Ensure that this person is blocked. Ensure you're physically safe. Ensure your profile is set to limited to first degree connections only. And ensure that your social media footprint is limited everywhere. And for example, your Facebook is only friends who can see you. And even those friends, I would say, Susan, cull them if you need to be ruthless and brutal. and you're not sure about someone because that someone could be a close friend of your ex or whatever stalker, you can cut them all by half as well. Remove those relationships on Facebook. Ensure a lot of people are blocked on WhatsApp who might be in common with him. So it's not just LinkedIn, right? It's everywhere because ultimately it all comes together and it hurts you and it causes a lot of stress. So all of these steps hopefully will help you with your job search, particularly the part we're talking about on LinkedIn. And do a thorough audit of your footprint, Twitter, everywhere, as far as you can. Stay on minimum number of platforms, only the ones that are relevant for you. If the rest are nice to have, but they're wasting your time, it's a good time to be, sort of really focused on that. Okay. Definitely report to the police and see a lawyer about a restraining order. Seek psychological support. Psychological support is very important. I think Thomas also mentioned something about what are the exact words that he used? Therapy to build healthy boundaries. Yeah, we might have to sometimes learn as if we are younger all over again and learn a lot of these things. Seek psychological support, block him and any dubious mutual contacts. Make sure the location is more general. Yeah, she changed her name. Oh, that's an ultimate. But location is a very good idea as well. So, for example, say specific which town close to Boston. You don't have to say that. For example, you could say Greater Boston metropolitan area. You know what I mean? Make it broader. You can even say USA. You don't have to be like New Delhi, South Delhi. You don't have to get into specifics. That's also something that's helpful for you. Thank you, guys. You're amazing. Thank you so much. This is really, really helpful. So listen, Susan, good luck. Okay. You are not alone. We've got you. Okay. And wish you the best. Wish you the best. I hope this has been helpful. I know that you're not able to respond right now. If you're watching me live, I know that you're not able to respond, but that's okay. I completely respect that. Okay. Like we said, safety first. Do what you got to do to keep yourself in check and your safety, psychological as well as physical. All right. Fab, fab, fab. Let's move on to the next question we have. Good morning, Thomas. How do you steer a conversation into showcasing strengths? I have a work gap, but I was in the MBA program until May. When I start speaking to hiring managers, I'm not getting job offers. During interviews, I'm not asked behavioral questions like I was prepared for when I was in the MBA program. I noticed some hiring managers are focusing on a program and use of that program. Okay. I think that, Thomas, I like this question. How can you steer? Because that's the kind of language I use on my YouTube channel, because you are the driver. We don't think we are, but as much as you can, you want to be the driver. So if a conversation is going down a hill and you don't like where it's going, you can steer it back. And interrupting politely, asking questions, saying, hey, I had a point to make here, if that's okay, and then come back to it, right? So you can't do a lot. It sounds like the first level interviewers who you're speaking with, my suspicion is that either too junior, not very well trained, or they are not qualified, or that they are looking at things from a very narrow perspective about certain skills and certain trainings and whether you have that or not. Or fourth, they're not competent. Period. End of story. So you want to increase the quality of interviewers who are speaking with you, right? If you're noticing these things, it shows that you have a pretty medium to high degree of self-awareness and emotional intelligence. If you're not detecting that in others, then maybe do better in terms of who you're speaking with. Can you control who you attract? No, not to a large extent, but if you see that the conversation isn't going, you can always cut it short because it's taking up unnecessary energy of yours, right? Let's say you've reached the end. This is a practical example. Let's say you've reached the end and they haven't asked you. I'd like to say one last thing, if that's okay. Feel free to volunteer and talk about that. And feel free to address. I'm one of those people, not everybody agrees with it, but I'm one of those people that believes in addressing the elephant in the room. Okay. So if you know they're thinking about the gap and they didn't ask you, and nobody brought it up, it was kind of skirted as a topic, people went around it, feel free to come back to it saying, hey, listen, so yeah, one last thing is that I want you to know that, you know, the doing this MBA program is a decision that I made. It wasn't an easy decision. It was one of the best decisions I've made to invest in myself. What I have walked away with is A, B, and C. And this is how I see this benefiting you and how I bring oodles of value to the table. Say that. And be prepared. How? What value? A, B, C. As you can see, I'm a fan of threes. Bring that up. If they don't bring it up, don't let that be the end of the conversation. Feel free to have the last word. Even if you think you don't want to join this company, don't let anything that you did or didn't do be in the way. Don't let it shouldn't be on you. It should be on them. Like maybe this isn't about you. Maybe they were looking for someone else, right? Like people who are in movies who are cast, they go through these auditions, they get rejected all the time. It's not about them. Yeah, we needed someone who's 6'3", 6'3", and this skin color. That was a profile, and you are a woman and you're 5'2". It's not personal. It just sometimes it's just not a fit, right? So I would focus on that and focus on what you bring to the table. Focus on the future. Don't focus on the past, because what's done is done. And you've probably seen I have a detailed video on my YouTube channel that talks about how do you address these gaps in your resume, in your interview, in your LinkedIn profile. Don't leave anything to chance. Don't leave it blank. Good luck to you, right? I wish you the best. Let's go. One sec, folks. I'm just making sure that there's quite a few comments here. Hi, Shivam. We're going to move to Shivam next. All right, what's up? When it comes to communication at work, particularly on replying to emails, I'd love to hear your perspective on benefits of replying emails over work. Replying emails over work. I don't quite follow what that means, but let's continue. I usually see people of three types. Reply always and promptly, only reply selectively, never reply. Can you ask me, Shivam, what your question is? It would help a little bit. I don't know, maybe can you be more clear? Like, I'm going to wait for you to type. Be more clear what you want from me. Very short question. Because email itself is an art and there's a lot of nuance to it. And I have an email writing guide, particularly in job search, but there's lots of things on there that will benefit everybody else. It's on my website. You're welcome to take a look at it. It's right now available for sale, but just want to make sure, what exactly are you looking for? What can I help you with? Because you've shared a few things which are your perspectives, three types of people, etc. What would you like to know? Let me know. The clearer the question, definitely the clearer the answer as well. All right. While I wait for you, Durgesh, right? Is that what you said your name is? Hi, I'm doing a diploma in cloud computing and it's on the stage of completion. And I have a question. I've worked in leather and garments, and I have 5 years teaching experience. But I don't have any experience letter or salary slip to show my experience. Should I mention it in the resume? I don't care about your salary slip. Experience letter, that's okay if you don't have it. But you have some experience, and it's teaching, working in a garment, working in a factory, leather. Why would you not put it? I don't know. Some people will say don't put it. It's not relevant to cloud computing. Yeah, but what if you're new to cloud computing? You're not new in your life. You have a career. You can mention it on your LinkedIn and you can mention it on your resume. This is my personal take on things, right? I hope that helps you. So going back to that lady who's been through the stalker, right? And all the harassment. One more point Kevin has added here. If they interact on your network, comments, or post, make sure to hit the 3 dots on the top right and report for harassment. attacks or intimidation towards others with abusive language, or deliberately, repeatedly disrupting conversations, including others' personal or sensitive information. This is includes unwanted romantic advances, sexual remarks, or requests for sexual favors. Awful. Awful, awful, awful. Kevin, thank you for sharing this. I think that it's really, really important to pay attention, right, to what we're saying here. And Kevin, I have a follow-up question for you if you're watching me live, dude. I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard yesterday or day before that LinkedIn has laid off a lot of their trust and identity people. I hope someone's left. Like, I hope it's not a situation like Twitter had last year, where the people actually running the boat were gone, like they were fired, laid off, whatever. Because LinkedIn's been through a couple of recent rounds of layoff. Hopefully, that doesn't impact the speed of execution, right? Ugh, awful, awful stuff. So let's just make sure I go back to Shivam. I almost always reply, how do I get the response I need without offending people? Mm-hmm. So Shivam, how would you identify? How would you offend someone? Explain to me. Thomas, you're very welcome. Good luck. You reply. Are you saying basically that on email, sometimes you don't get the response you want, or you don't get it in a timely manner, right? That's what you're saying. Just want to make sure that I understand. Kevin, thank you so much. This has been really, really helpful. If you're not here, everybody has things to do. So, Risto, thank you for joining. You don't have to explain if you have to go. Don't worry. It's not a, it's not like it's a meeting and you're invited and it's totally voluntary, and you're such an amazing supporter. So, definitely, thank you so much. Yeah, Shivam, you can say it very politely. You can say, would appreciate a response. Give a certain time. Would it be possible to hear back from you by Friday 5 p.m. end of day, or by Tuesday? Would that be okay? Because this would help me too. This would help me in turn. This in turn would help me too, because it's all a domino effect, right? I also want to say, Shivam, because you probably know this, because I also think you're very high on self-awareness. I think that you can also, take advantage and pick up the phone and talk to people. Nothing beats good old-fashioned communication. And the world we live in, we're all texting and emailing, DMing, and very few people are calling the phone anymore. Like the sound, do you guys remember the phone ringing? And I don't mean like only cell phones, and cell phones are like on silent, so it's like blinking, it's not even ringing. Like, do you guys remember? It's a totally different social skill, and a lot of us have lost it. Like, do you remember being a kid? I'm talking to people who were born in the, before the year 2000. So the phone would ring in the middle of the living room to pick it up and say, hello. And you're a kid, right? Oh, hello, auntie. Yeah, I'm good. How are you? Making small talk. You so don't want to be there, but you're doing it because that's the polite thing to do. And they're like, you want to talk to mama? Yeah, she's there. What did you just do in front of everyone? You're shy, you're like pissed off, you're embarrassed, but you made small talk. There were certain social skills we had when the phone would ring. The phone doesn't ring anymore. And there is a certain level of intimacy in calling versus emailing only. And if something is particularly sensitive, time sensitive, Shivam, pick up the phone. Ask how everybody is. Ask him how his daughter is. Ask him how her piano recital went. Human to human first. Then you'll get the task faster. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. All right. Cheers. Kevin, you always have the inside information. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. All right. Fab, fab, fab. Without further ado, I think we have one more or a couple more questions. I'm going to make sure I answer always. Hi, Sajid. Thank you for sharing. Creatives 101 hashtag. Love that. Thank you. Thank you. I think I missed Javed. Javed Ali. Assalamu alaikum, Javed. Thank you for being here. I have experienced, oh, damn. Sorry. Pardon my language. I wanted to wear my Christmas jumper today. I forgot. It was so boring. Ugh. I looked at greetings and I thought season's greetings, and suddenly I remembered Christmas. I was gonna wear my ugly Christmas jumper. I'm gonna do that next week. All right. I have experienced in the last 1 year, after 2 rounds of interviews, Indian companies don't even I'm sorry, just trying to repeat. Don't even bother to write an email about the status of your candidature. It's called ghosting. It's awful. Welcome, Javed, to the horrible world of incompetent recruiters. I'm sorry you're going through it. Make sure you follow up once a week for 3 weeks. That's my personal preference. One little note on email. If they don't reply, pick up the phone. Same, right? Going back to what we were saying with Shivam, pick up the phone, say, I'd like to speak with Sujit. We had a very nice interview and I didn't hear back. So I just wanted to know, would you have any status on my candidature? I'm still very excited to work. If 3 weeks have moved on and you still haven't heard back, I wouldn't hold my breath. I would move on. And while those 3 weeks are on, please don't wait only for them. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Please do not do that. Life is too short. Okay? You gotta go where you are wanted, not where you are tolerated, you know? So, all right. Shivam, you have a comment here as well. If that doesn't work, they may not know to get the answer you need. If that's the case, you can always bring it to the team. It's a good point, you know, Thomas. You can always pick up the phone, Shivam, and say, is there anything you need? Can I help you with anything? Right? I'm so sorry, Javed. I'm sorry that I can't be more helpful. But, you know, this is the world we live in, unfortunately. It's not perfect. All right, I'm going to take the last question from Ashley. Ashley thought there was another question, which was very, very fast. Quick one. Which soft skills are required for foreign country jobs? Praneeth, very broad question. I don't know how to answer you. Have you watched my video on how to get a job abroad? I get into specific examples of skills and experiences that will help you. Check that out. And if you still have further questions, join me at the same time next week. Okay? All right. Let's go to Ashley. Hi, Ashley. What is the earliest exit we can request from an employer if we want to ask for one? If it's 1 month's notice, is it all right to ask for 1 week? What is the earliest exit we can request? I think it depends, Ashley, how long you're in the company. Are you in the company 30 years, 10 years, 5 years, 3 months? Check what's written in your employment contract, because these type of terms are usually mentioned in the employment contract. Like it's very common in the US, right? 2 weeks notice. There's a whole movie on it. There's a whole book on it. In other places, it depends on what's written in the contract because you have signed it. If it's 1 month's notice, is it all right to ask for 1 week? You're basically reducing your notice period by 75%. So I'm trying to understand, where is that coming from? Help me understand your predicament better. Okay, I'm just going to wait it out. Since I've asked you, if you're still watching, I'm going to wait a half a minute and then we'll see. Hi, Richard. How do you negotiate salary while you're still employed? How do you negotiate a salary when you're still employed? I just want to make sure I understand this question, Richard. Do you mean how do you negotiate with a new company while you're still employed? Or do you mean B? So that was A. B is you want to negotiate a salary within the same company, which means you're looking at either a promotion or you're looking at a salary correction. You know, maybe your seniority has changed, you have more responsibilities, or you think you're too low and you want it to be paid at market. So tell me, is it A, is it B? If it's A, I have a whole playlist on my YouTube channel on how to negotiate a higher salary. If it's B, a lot of what I share on my YouTube channel has relevance, like it's very universal. And there are specific things you can do to ask for within the same company. Okay, understood. So this is one question I get so many times. I get ideas when I get these questions repeatedly. I'm like, maybe it's time to make a YouTube video on it. So I might do that. But since you're here, right, I want to make sure that you get the most of your time here. You wanna, I personally, I'll tell you what not to do. I'm not a fan of dropping a bomb on my boss saying, hey, like annual performance appraisal, you're like awkward situation, and then you're like, hey, I want to get an increase now. Because the other person's also like caught, surprised, and blindsided. Trust me, nobody likes to be blindsided. Nobody likes to be surprised. So I would chat with my boss and say that, creating a very strong business case. This is the work I do. This is the value I've added. I would like to see my compensation matching what it is in similar companies in my target industry, in this industry, right? Have some data with you. You can check out a lot of lots of sources online, lots of resources online. And if you're in the US, even more, like salary.com. Salary.com doesn't exist outside the US. But you have salary.com, you have payscale.com, you have glassdoor.com, you have fishbowl.com, all of these places. And when you're armed with this, right, data is ammunition. When you're armed with this, talk about basically this is what the market data looks, for example, for like a senior project engineer. I'm here. What are some things that can be done to bring me here? Okay. And then think about, be that person who comes with solutions. Here's a plan. Here's an idea I have for 3 months, 6 months, and 9 months. Not longer than that. I don't want you to keep waiting. Because you also need to see what the response will be. If it looks positive and there is progression towards it, you're in a good place. But if it isn't, it's not even about the money anymore, dude. Then it's like, do you even respect me? Why am I even here? Right? This is how I feel. Doesn't have to be the only way of doing things. So good luck with that. I'm just gonna make sure that, did I ask someone? Was it Ashley? Ashley, did you get back to me? No, not really. I'm gonna have to move on. Hi there. How do you start a job after a gap of 6 years? Totally understand. Hey, dude. So travel. I don't have a name for you. I got 2 videos. I got one video which is 17 minutes long on my YouTube channel. Definitely watch it. It's literally called How to, Resume Your Career After a Pause. Something like that. It's pretty much at the bottom of my, when you go to my YouTube channel, you can always click on sort by most popular and by newest to oldest. Click on newest to oldest and go to the very bottom. Okay. And this video will be there. It's a 17-minute masterclass. And I give very specific examples on how you address and how do you talk about it. Because do not be that person that doesn't talk about it and puts it under the carpet and pretends nothing happened. You got to address the elephant in the room. And another thing I will say is watch the replay today. Because if you're watching me live, we talked about this briefly during the very start. Okay, Ashley. I've been there for 12 years. My workload was less, so not that much to do. And I think a week is enough to clear everything instead of a month. You can always bring this topic up with your boss. Your boss is the one who has to sign off. If your boss agrees, he or she, right? If they agree that a week is enough, it doesn't matter if you were there for 12 years. If you think you have nothing much to do and you're pretty much like twiddling your thumbs and sitting around, bring this up with your boss. And they need to know. So when you give your resignation letter, start with what you want, not what is correct. I was thinking about 1 week. What do you think about that? Forget what's written in the contract. Like, start with that. Say, oh no, it should be 1 month. I can do 1 month. It's just that based on the amount of work we have, right? We have to take care of X, Y, and Z. And plus, you also want to make sure you have a replacement in place. It's not like you're leaving them high and dry. No, but you should always leave with a good taste in your mouth. Never burn bridges. You never know what happens in the future. Life's too short. All right. Okay, folks. Thought I was done, but Venkat, Is it good to show an offer from an employer to the other employer? Hmm. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. Most of the time, even when you get an offer from a company, that is between you and the company. So there is a certain level of confidentiality involved. How would that company feel if you did that to them? Think about that, right? All right, folks. All right, Gina, this is the last one I'm going to take. And it is from Colombia. Thank you for being here, Gina. Where in Colombia are you from? Bogota, Medellin, Cali, Cartagena de las Indias. Let me know. I'm showing off my limited knowledge. I haven't been to Colombia. My husband has, and he absolutely loves the country. Gina Paula Díaz Viloria. ¿Cómo estás? Espero que muy bien. Buenos días, Bogotá. Lovely. Me gustaría saber. I'm sorry. I would like to know, how do you answer the question about leadership? Okay, leadership, pay attention to the spelling, because the spelling you have is in Spanish, like líder, right? Liderazgo. In English, it's Leader. Small thing. I'm not a bit of a spelling Nazi. I'm not. But people who might read your resume might be. So the question is, how do you answer questions about leadership? Like, what has been your biggest challenge leading people? I would say share stories. Talk about a time when you led people and something went to shit. Something went horribly wrong. Okay, pardon my French. Think about a story and think about what happened and what did you do and what was the outcome of that. Ensure that in the story, the hero of the story is when you came in and you saved the day. Don't spend too much time on what happened. That's the context. People care less about that. Give that context, but don't stay there. It's a pity because I've interviewed thousands of people. People stay in the context and explain that context in such level of detail as if I am also an R&D scientist and I completely was like, and then what happened? No. What I say about what you did. People's time is limited, so you want to capture that really well. So definitely practice it as well. So good luck. All right, folks, in case you missed it, I want to make sure that that if you are actively looking for jobs and you're not getting a call from potential companies, interviewers, it might be, not always, but it might be because your resume that you have filled out and you sent it over to them is not doing justice to how awesome you are. So for that, I'm doing a live masterclass, my last one of the year. It's free to attend. And we're going to talk about how you can supercharge your resume with certain best practices that I have learned, not just as someone who worked in human resources and interviewed, and I've seen about 250,000 resumes in my lifetime, like maybe more, probably more. But I've also been a job seeker. I've been laid off multiple times and I've had to start over from scratch. So I combine 22 years of learning into a 45-minute webinar on 15th December 2023, almost exactly at the same time next Friday. If you're watching me right now, it'll be almost around the same time. At this time, I'll be sitting with my cup of tea. I'll be in front of my computer and I'll be like, this is exactly it. So it's 3 p.m. Central European time. That's 9 a.m. East Coast US. 7:30 p.m. India, 9 p.m. Hong Kong. So make sure you have this in your calendar. If you're not getting calls for interviews, just come and attend, okay? And if you're interested in going deeper, I will invite you to join my digital course. And I'm going to be giving away one amazing bonus that is going to be more than worth it. But if you decide that the digital course is not for you, I will still make sure you walk away with something useful that you can immediately implement in your resume. So thank you for being here, and I shall see you at the same time next Friday. Have a lovely Friday and lovely weekend. Be safe.